a walking tour of the National Harbor near Washington, D.C. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, entertaining, and I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see what I can see. Now, this neighborhood is located about 11 miles from the National Capital Region of Washington, D.C., just across the border in Maryland. Now, I want to turn the camera around so you can see just where this is a little bit more, and then I'll walk around the neighborhood. So it's right along the Potomac River. Alexandria is just across the way. George Washington's old house was there. This is the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. And then right over here is the MGM Casino that's in the National Harbor. The National Harbor is about 300 acres, so it's really quite big. In addition to the casino, there's also an outlet mall, but the part that I'm going to be walking you through, it's the part that I think most people go to, walk around, enjoy, is the Waterfront district. Right here along the waterfront, along the Potomac River. What do I like about this place? It's just kind of a neat place to come in the evening, in the night, or on a weekend. I say in the night because there is a lot of nightlife here. There's like 40 restaurants in this area. There's a lot of shops, but a lot of the restaurants are open late. This guy right here, this is a famous art installation, The Awakening, that was actually located in the District of Columbia and was moved here when they opened the National Harbor. Out on this pier, there is a Ferris wheel. There's also water taxis that'll take you to other places on the Potomac River, including to Alexandria, just across the way. There are 8 or 9 hotels in this complex. The one we see right up here is the AC Hotel. I'm actually staying at the Hyatt Place National Harbor on this trip. And the big hotel, we saw the MGM, but there's also the Gaylord, which is a big convention hotel, Gaylord National Harbor here. This spot is kind of like the special events area where they'll have performances, concerts, those sorts of things. And if we head up this way, it's kind of like a tiered setup. It's built a little bit on a hillside, but roughly where this staircase is, where the Awakening is, I would call it roughly the middle. If you're looking for your place to take a selfie, it's definitely with that statue of that guy who's buried in the sand, and you got the National Harbor sign behind you. So it's called the National Harbor, and a lot of people think this is in Baltimore, but in Baltimore it's called the Inner Harbor. This is the National Harbor. And it's not really connected well to DC by public transportation, so you'll probably need a car or you take an Uber if you want to get here because the metro doesn't get you here. All right, so taking a look right here at kind of the main pedestrian street through here, they call this the Esplanade. There's a neat display of the different services of our armed forces, including the Coast Guard. And then there's a American flag with some statues of our former presidents. You can see Honest Abe Lincoln there with his big top hat. Along this Esplanade, there's shops and restaurants on the side of it. There's some vendors here in the middle. There's some old cars. Notable vendors that are here. There is a cheesecake shop that we might go by a little later called Furlough Cheesecake. A couple ladies, they were furloughed from the government. When the government did furloughs, started their cheesecake shop, and they've done so well, they've moved to a bigger location here. So you can check that out if you want cheesecakes. There's a waterfall here in the middle, little fountain, a lot of benches. It's shady here. Nice place just to come and relax. This complex also has a number of condominiums and apartments. There are about 2,500 folks that live in the National Harbor. So if you're coming here and you're looking to park, there are these kind of common parking structures. It's pretty much all pay parking, so do be prepared to pay when you come. Either the parking on the street is metered or in those common garages. Here's like a little kiddie play area where there's some pigs and frogs and things like that that kiddos like to hop on. There's a small little supermarket called the Potomac Gourmet Market, or if you're looking for some provisions that perhaps they don't have, just across the way is a CVS pharmacy. Also kind of a really popular place in DC, a place here called Nando's Peri Peri Chicken. They specialize in Portuguese style rotisserie kind of spicy chicken. Here we've got a statue of Louis Armstrong, and then just right across the way this way, we have a statue of Marilyn Monroe in her famous pose. And then over there, we've got this kissing statue, the sailor kissing the nurse. And if I call this the Esplanade, the street's actually called American Way. I feel like I saw a sign that called the Esplanade, but maybe that's another area, or maybe I'm just confusing that with some Southern California city. This street, you could roughly say this is maybe the main street through the National Harbor Waterfront District. This is called Fleet Street. The street that we passed earlier was Waterfront Street because it's the closest one to the water. And there's a Irish pub on the right-hand side, and then you can see above the Irish pub is one of the big communal parking garages. They don't easily like stick out as parking garages, but if you're driving around, you'll see lots of P's and signs where you can park your car. They've got some thing here that lights up at night that looks pretty cool over the street. And then the big building that you see behind there, that is the Gaylord National Harbor Resort, big convention hotel. It's popular, people coming here for conventions, popular for school groups as well. This is a barbecue restaurant, Jimmy's Barbecue. We've got Bobby McKee's right here, dueling piano bar. I mentioned nightlife, so a lot of these places are definitely set up for evenings. Many of them, like this one, are age 21 and over for the dueling pianos. Here we got Chops Barbecue, Rock and Roll. And we're gonna go ahead and make a right turn here. I think that's called Cactus Ranch with the CR, but I wanna show you the big kind of, Cadillac Ranch. How could I forget Cadillac Ranch with the big Cadillac up on top? When I said the Gaylord, the biggest hotel, biggest in size, you can see it's really quite huge. And it has this neat glassed-in atrium that has some little buildings and shops that are in the center of it. It's worth a pop in there, even if you're not staying at the hotel, just to kind of admire how grand it is. If you like bike riding, you can pick up one of these Capital bike share bikes. These are bike shares that you can pick up and park at any one of the other bike share locations. Here's a map of the Capital bike share. And so you can see we're here along the Potomac River. I mentioned this is the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. This is the District of Columbia border. This is the Virginia border. So just across the way, it's Alexandria. And so there's a ton of places to take the bikes up there. And so that's actually a great way to ride your bike along the Potomac River through Alexandria, cross the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, and then you can ride it here all the way from Washington, D.C. One of the many hotels here, there is a Residence Inn by Marriott. If you find the Gaylord might be too expensive, I think it probably is one of the more expensive hotels in this area if there's a convention going on. If there's not a convention going on, then the prices can be significantly cheaper. But most of these hotels, the Gaylord has its own valet parking. Most of these hotels here just have a little loading zone, and then you park for the combined parking structure for all the hotels in the neighborhood. It is in kind of the flight path of Reagan National Airport, so you can see a plane up there. You can kind of hear the planes coming and going all day, but it adds to some ambiance of the neighborhood. I will say though, having stayed here last night at the Hyatt Place National Harbor, I did start to hear the planes at 6 in the morning coming and going. And there's a Mandarin Chinese restaurant. I'm gonna cross the street. If you're walking into the Gaylord, there's this little path that just takes you into the Gaylord Resort property. But this kind of spot right here, if you're looking to take a picture of the Potomac River or the Ferris wheel, kind of like right up on the hill of the Gaylord place, is a pretty nice place to do it. So fellow explorers, if your travels bring you to the Washington, D.C. area, you might enjoy watching some more of my videos on Washington, D.C. You'll find a few of them here on the screen or links in the description below. And as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'm going to see you Over there. Over there. What are you still doing here? Go over there. Go.